What's up, guys, and welcome back once again to the channel. As you guys saw from the last video, I don't know if you saw it with the turb skis on, but I just kind of set them up there for visual. But this J35 build is all finished up and it's getting ready to go in the car. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that today. I've got to run out and pick up some parts. And then I had another friend of mine drop off another J35. So basically same deal, ARP, TROMs, the whole deal, all the P2R stuff. Basically a mimic of this build here. Kind of basically the exact same build, same piston, same rods. So we'll get started on that sometime next week after we get this motor in the car and get this ready for the dyno. Also, a lot of changes in the shop here over the last 2 days. After I finished that motor, you guys could see my air compressor. I keep walking by, but I finally went over and got all my tools from my buddy Barry's house. And you know, what a great guy. He's been letting me store my stuff there for so long, but that's what I've been working without, guys. Has been without my toolbox. All the work I've been doing in here and building motors has all been out of my race week tool set. So now my toolbox is back. My air compressor's here. That's gonna go outside. And then once the electrical gets all wired up, this thing will be outside. We'll plumb the air line in here. But today we're headed out on a little road trip. I've got my old GSR block that I'm sending off to California to have looked at to see if it can be re-sleeved. Really want to get that re-sleeved so I can build a backup motor for my car. I've got this GT4202R here, and our buddy Tom needs it, and he happens to have another SBXM all-wheel drive B-Series tranny and transfer case, so we did a quick little trade deal. I got to run out to Blythe, drop off the turbo in the block, and pick up the other transmission because we are going to be building the dog box for our all-wheel drive Honda. So anyways, in the meantime, we're going to load this stuff up in the car, hop on a little road trip here. We'll throw up some time lapse of the road trip, grab that transmission, get back here as soon as we can. I've got a lot to go through in my toolbox and clean up, and a lot more shop organization to go on. Electrical's coming fast, and then we're gonna get this thing insulated. So you guys stick around. We're gonna jump into this little drive and go pick up that transmission.
Are we on the air?
Ruh-roh. All right, guys, so we're back. It is the next day, and we're back from the little trip to Tom's out there at the river, and picked up this SBXM all-wheel drive B-Series tranny. We're gonna get this thing all cleaned up, and you know, just get it put aside and ready for the top secret dog box build. But anyhow, got my toolbox all organized and cleaned up, and we had some parts come in for the Chevelle for the back window, so that was really awesome. I was stoked about that. I can finally get this thing out of the shop and wash it and clean it because it is filthy. But I ran into a problem, and that problem was I lost one of these sliders, and that's for the back window, and these things are absolutely impossible to find. So I was showing them to Sherry, and she was like, God, that stuff looks awfully familiar. It looks like kitchen cabinet slider rails. So we shot over to Home Depot and picked up a kitchen cabinet slider rail, and sure as can be, it looks very similar. So I cut a piece off, I drilled some holes. I'll show you these things side by side, guys. So we basically just made a new one because this thing is impossible to find. So show them to you guys side by side here. Drilled a couple holes, cut some notches, and hammered this edge down, and it can actually come down some more. But yeah, it fits right in there and works perfectly. So shout out to my wife for knowing what that thing looked like. And so now we can get the back window put back in the Chevelle. I can get it out of the shop and go wash it. And it has cooled off outside, so we're gonna start enjoying this thing a lot more. I may even drive this to GLAMIS a few times. So I did it before, it's a lot of fun. My sand car is still kind of just sitting, but twin turbo ski motor is ready to go in this car. So that's going to be going in this video, and fixing the Chevelle and cleaning up the shop. So you guys stick around. We're going to start getting this motor prepped and ready to put in the car. And we're back again for the third time. So like I showed you earlier, we got the got our transmission all cleaned up, got all that grease off of it. I went ahead and painted the valve covers because we forgot to send a set to powder. I'm pretty handy with the spray can. These things look really nice. Same as the manifolds, so it makes this purple really pop. Ran into a couple little problems. I was getting ready to put this motor in yesterday and got the engine hoist out, and I went to put the flywheel on. It turns out that this flywheel is not a Kennedy flywheel. It's completely different, and these flywheel bolts are way too long. So that's not going to work. Normally I use Kennedy for my adapter plates. This one's made by Heckler Machine. The plate will work fine. Unfortunately, those flywheel bolts will not. So I called Kennedy, ordered the flywheel bolts and some new clutch bolts. They're on their way. They should be here tomorrow or Friday, hopefully by Friday, so I can at least get this motor sat in the car. I've got a full weekend this weekend and doing some family stuff, so but I at least want to be able to get the motor in the car. And then found a couple of flaws in the paint right here, so we're going to go ahead and mask the tranny off and get this thing painted up again. Like I showed you guys before, this is a brand new car and it was powder coated, but then the owner decided to put a bigger transmission in it after it was built. So we cut this all out. Joe did over at the shop and redid all this new. Originally when they painted it, it was too shiny. So they knocked the sheen down and sprayed it again, and then it just needs to be touched up in a few spots. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this thing a once over with my spray, with my rattle can, and make it look real nice. Other than that, that's all we really got going on today, guys. Gonna prep that car for paint and clean off my table and organize my tools a little bit more. So in this video, we will get this thing into the car and hopefully get it to the dyno. Because of my family scheduling stuff I have this week, I'm not gonna be able to dyno it this weekend. It'll be the next week. So hopefully I got time to get it done and get, you know, like I said, get the motor in the car, get it dynoed, get it all finished up. I still got a bunch more new powder coated stuff over there to unwrap like a kid in a candy store, so I'm hoping to be able to do that too. So what we're going to do now is clean up all the valve cover bolts, make them all nice and shiny chrome, get those all set into these nice black valve covers, and try to keep moving forward. What happens when you start painting stuff and making things look nice? The bad part is it starts making other stuff look ugly. So from now on, when I do these motors, this is going to get powder coated and trimmed and clean. I'm going to cut all them brackets off. That'll get powder coated. I painted it. And for this car, I went ahead and painted the oil pan as well. It's going to be a nice nice matte black or satin black. It just gets into a ton of little things like the bracket, the tensioner. I've got that drying. I painted it, and I really should have painted this while it was off, but this is going to stick out like a sore thumb, but it is what it is. I can't get too crazy into the details. You know, I've got to get this thing done and in the car. So that's going to be it for today, guys. We're going to jump back into this hopefully tomorrow. I'm praying that I ordered the bolts yesterday for the flywheel, so hopefully they'll be here tomorrow. So we'll jump back tomorrow. Hopefully we got the bolt. So we got the engine up on the hoist. Whenever you have one of these Honda motors out and you're doing a swap, whether you get a JDM motor or something from LKQ or wherever, always replace the rear main seal. Do yourself a favor. It's not a matter of if it's gonna leak, it's when it's gonna leak. So we're gonna go ahead and knock these 10 millimeters out of here, take the cover off, and pop in a new rear main seal. All right, guys, we took off the cover. We got the new rear main seal installed. And then I had to find the mark that they left me on the crank from when they balanced the flywheel and the crank, and it's right here. So we're gonna get the adapter plate put on now, and then we'll get the flywheel and clutch put on. We can get this thing stabbed in the car. I didn't put the adapter plate on, and I went to go put the flywheel on, and motor wouldn't turn over. So we've got another problem. This is the Kennedy flywheel that we bought for the twin disc. And like I told you guys before, everything I use is Kennedy. This plate was made by Heckler Machine, like I showed you earlier. And here's the problem. That hits. So when I put the flywheel in, the motor won't turn over. So now another delay is I'm gonna have to machine out the inside of this, probably all the way up to this line right here. Unfortunately, I don't have air in my shop right now. So if not, I would do it right this second, but I have a bit that I can cut that with in a grinder, but I don't know. I'll try to figure something out. I'm gonna look around the shop here and see if there's something I can figure out and try to machine this out myself. If not, it's gonna have to wait another day and just another delay on this car. Once again, wifey comes to the rescue, and she looked at this a little closer and noticed that that was just a ring that's pressed into there. So I was able to crack it with a hammer, even though I was hitting it the wrong way. She showed me the right way to hit it, and should go no problem now. Sometimes you got to think outside the box and have another set of eyes look at something. You know, it is what it is, but she helped me again, and yeah, looks like it's gonna fit now. We're gonna go ahead and bolt this thing back together and get this thing in the friggin' car. Guys, something else very important when you're putting one of these flywheels on, even in a Honda, just a regular, even if it's not an adapter plate deal, always red Loctite these bolts, period. A couple of 1, 2, 3, 2 shifts and these things are gonna back out on you, and that is a problem you do not wanna have. These bolts start to back out, it's gonna destroy the crank, and then you're looking at a complete motor teardown. So we're gonna get these Loctited in, get the clutch on, and then in the car it goes. Bolted the turbos on, and I'm starting to get the downpipes hooked up and get the wastegates taken care of. But this thing looks freaking rowdy. I'm so glad we went with black on the valve covers. It offsets that purple so much, and because the water plumbing's purple, I think if we did the valve covers purple, it would have been too much. But I painted the bracket black, and it offsets with the motor mounts. So I got to go get some bolts for the motor mounts. They're not in that box that came with the car, so I'll go to the hardware store and pick up some bolts, and then we're going to start getting the as soon as I finish the other downpipe, I'm going to go ahead and lay the wire harness in and start wiring this thing up and getting it potentially ready for the first fire up. So here we go, guys. I got the motor completely in. I've got all the intercooler plumbing all finished up. Everything's tightened up and ready to go. I did have one issue with the charge pipe. It kind of grew a little bit, so it's a little bit too long to fit up against the intercooler, so I got to stick that in the chop saw and cut it down just a little bit. I'll make sure I tape it off so I don't hurt the powder coat. I've got the turbos on. I've got to do some wastegate plumbing, and I'm going to go ahead and test these wastegates. I got a little air compressor in here. I'm going to put some pressure to them with a gauge and find out what springs are in here and when these things open up or not. Other than that, guys, this thing's pretty much done. I've got to go to the hardware store and get some bolts for the motor mounts. These have got a bunch of washers stacked on them. They're just kind of sitting there for right now. But I'm going to go get some metric bolts for that, and then I need to modify this motor mount. Either modify this motor mount or get a different fitting. So what happened is when the motor got moved around, when they put the big tranny in this thing, the oil return line doesn't fit anymore. So that'll bolt up like that. And as you guys can see, it's right in the way. So I'm hoping I can get a 90 out of here to clear it and then maybe come up like that. So I think that would work. So I'm gonna try a 90 fitting first. I'm gonna dig around and see what I've got. I might even be able to just change this to a 90. It's so close. Worst case scenario is I have to notch this out and try to find some paint that's that color. I don't want to take the time to repowder coat this. And now we can start laying out the fuel system. This old fuel system that's in here was good for the setup the way it was before. We're going to be putting an automotive A1000 and a regulator in this thing and setting up the fuel rails. So that's next on the agenda. It's kind of dark in here. You probably can't see anything, but I got the bug pulled back in the shop. That's going to wrap it up for all the work on this car until next week. I've got to go out of town for the weekend for some family issues, but we'll get that worked out, and then we'll be back on this thing early next week, and hopefully get this thing done and off to the dyno. It's going to make some use. So we'll see you guys when we get it wrapped up and get off to the dyno. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I know I told you guys in the last video that we were going to show the twin turbo Honda car getting finished up and tuned, but we got an impromptu trip out here to GLAMIS Fab. Just got our first car in for the season. This is car number 1 coming in, first day open, and I think he's going to be the first one to stay in the new concrete. He had a bad power steering line, rubbed a hole in it back here, so we made him a new one. We're going to get it all tightened up and wrapped up in, and this will be first customer of the year, first car fixed and back in the dunes. So you guys stick around, and there's more carnage to come. Like that, first customer out of here, happy, back in the dunes. Unfortunately, he was the first to stain our concrete as well, but you know, it's gonna happen. That's just what it is out here. So definitely love having this concrete so we can work out here as well as inside the shop. But as you guys can see, we are all stocked up. I know Joe posted something last week when he was out here stocking up the shop, but we are fully stocked and ready for the season, and we are ready to go. Can't wait to see you guys out here at GLAMIS Fab. So you guys stick around. We're gonna wait for some more carnage to come in. It is early in the season. We got a couple weeks before Halloween, but I wanted to come out here and get my trailer set up and get everything going, and I figured I'd just open up the shop, and you know, as soon as we roll the doors open, people start coming. So that's gonna wrap it up for today. One car. So gave me a bunch of time to work on my Honda generators. Got the carburetors all cleaned out, got all that stuff fixed, so they'll work all season long. We're gonna go ahead and close up the shop, go have a little dinner, and get ready for tomorrow. So stick around and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Everybody, welcome back. It is day 2 of opening weekend out here at GLAMIS, and my phone's ringing. Sorry about that, guys. So already got our first car in the shop today, and already got the first little bit of carnage. Let me get it, see if you guys can see that while he's backing out. The truck driver hit the ladder there. So anyways, first car in for today is believe it or not, it's actually a San Limo. This is an early monster cruiser, and sorry bud, sorry, it's got a broken down bar, which I've never seen on this chassis before. Apparently it broke on the other side too. So we're going to check some of the X bracing underneath the frame, make sure it's transferring the load properly, and we'll get her welder up and back in the dunes. All right guys, so we got this car in, it's all done. Turns out it was broken on both sides, so I went ahead and welded over here and welded over there, up there, and behind the dash where you can't see. But like I said earlier, we don't often see San Limos coming in here. They usually don't break. Joe's gonna have to look at this one and figure out why this is doing this. But anyways guys, another happy Duner back in the dunes. So next on the list is this spindle. The spindle has a through bolt that goes all the way through. Well, it was locked in and seized and bent and rusted. There's no way to get them out of here. So you have to cut a relief cut in the back of the spindle, open it up, and then pound the old bolt out. So I got 2 other bolts I'm going to stuff in the holes here so they don't close up too tight. I'll go ahead and tack it here, here, and here, and then I'll just weld this thing back shut. And that way they can put a new bolt through and put anti-seize on it, so that way it doesn't get stuck again. So I'm going to weld this thing up. Here we go. guys, well, we got it all welded back up, and this thing's going back to the customer, and he'll put his car back together. What's up, everybody? So we're back from GLAMIS Fab. It was kind of an uneventful weekend, kind of slow because it was so hot, but we're back. Shop's back open. From this point forward, GLAMIS Fab will be open every weekend from Thursday to Monday, or I'm sorry, Thursday to Saturday, and then except during the holiday weeks, we're there, you know, during the week. And if the holiday falls on a Monday, then GLAMIS Fab will be open Sunday, and we close on Monday. In the meantime, we're back in the shop, and we're back on the GP105 twin turbo Honda. We're trying to have this thing ready for Camp Razor to get it delivered to the customer. Had to go in reverse a little bit here. I had to take the seats out and take the fuel tank out. This had a small fuel pump in it, and we're switching to a big fuel system. We're putting a automotive A1000 in here with some Dash 8 fuel line. There was a couple other little things we had to do. Car didn't have a shift indicator in it for the sequential, so I went ahead and ran the cable and installed the shift indicator. Got it all tie wrapped up in here, and I'm gonna go ahead and get the soldering iron out, get this all soldered up and hooked up. We'll get it tested and make sure it works. After that, I can put the fuel tank back in. We took it out, obviously, like I said, to add the bigger fuel pump, and I had to put some bigger fittings in the tank, send and return. So we got that done. It's over there in the front garage. I'm gonna go grab it, get it mounted back in here, and then we can start laying out how and where we're gonna mount the automotive A1000 in here. So, you know, that's where we're at today, guys. Just working away again on this car, and we're gonna get as much done as we can and try to get this thing ready for Camp Razor. All right, well, as you can see, it's starting to get dark in my shop. Still don't have lights yet, but electricity is coming this weekend finally. We're gonna start getting the electricity done. I went ahead and got the shift indicator in like I showed you earlier. I still need to solder it up. I've got some wiring issues down here that I fixed, and I got the battery in, flipped it around and got it in right, and this thing's ready to start going back together. Tomorrow I'm gonna put the gas tank in, and we're gonna start laying out the fuel system. Not sure if I'm gonna run an A1000 or not. I may just put in a Bosch 044, which I've seen handle over 1,000 horsepower. So I'm gonna look at some room constraints that I have and see if that'll fit. That's gonna wrap it up for today, guys, and that's gonna wrap it up for this video. I've got a lot more to do on this car so I can get it ready. I've got to order a 4-bar map sensor and a couple other things, but like I said, that's gonna wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you give us a like and a subscribe, and we will see you guys in the dunes. And don't forget, GLAMIS Fab is open, so all that carnage content, it is coming. All right, guys, we'll see you later. Also, guys, don't forget, we still have this car. I know it's a little dirty right now. It's been sitting out here, but I pulled it out because the fuel lines are rotted. This car's been sitting so long that fuel lines started leaking. So I got some Dash 6 in the truck. I'm gonna replace those too, but this car will be out in the dunes with me this season as well. It is for sale. So you guys know anybody looking for a long travel 4-seat car, LS2D, let me know. Make you guys a hell of a deal on a really good car.